Madam President,
Majority Leader.
Are we in a quorum? I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Now, Madam President, first, I want to shut my phone off. But now first, I want to offer congratulations to longtime Senate staffer Ann Berry, who will soon be taking over the responsibilities of the very important job of Secretary of the Senate. This is a position that dates all the way back to April 8, 1789, 2 days after the Senate achieved its first quorum for business. Ann's nomination was approved by the Senate yesterday afternoon, making her the first African American and only the 8th woman to ever serve in that position. It would be an understatement to say Ann knows the Senate well. She brings 4 decades of experience in the Senate to her new office, having worked with Senator Leahy for many years, and more recently with Senator Jones from her home state of Alabama. She's going to do a fantastic job helping the Senate through its day-to-day responsibilities, and I look forward to seeing her up here on the dais when she assumes her new title in a few weeks. Once again, another ceiling has been broken. We welcome Ann Berry as Secretary of the Senate. Next, COVID. 1 year ago, the United States reported 11 confirmed cases of COVID-19. A few days later, a woman from California became the first American to die from this disease. Today, those numbers stand at over 26 million Americans infected and over 450,000 Americans dead. Along the way, COVID-19 has turned life as we know it upside down. It triggered the greatest economic emergency since the Great Depression. Tens of millions of lost jobs, shuttered schools, collapsed businesses, and the greatest healthcare crisis since the Spanish pandemic flu. Congress has come together on several occasions to pass important relief measures, measures that did a lot of good. They've saved jobs and lives and businesses, but it has not yet been enough. The crisis is still with us. The economy is weakened. Everyday Americans are struggling with the basic costs of living, of necessities. So today, the Senate is going to take the next strong step forward in passing a rescue plan to lift the country out of the crisis and set it back on the path to normal. Starting this afternoon, we begin the process of debating amendments to the budget resolution. When that process is complete, at whatever hour, we'll vote on final passage and pave the way for Senate committees to begin crafting the rescue plan itself, in coordination with House committees as well. The amendment process here today will be bipartisan, and it will be open, and it will be vigorous. Democrats and Republicans alike will have the opportunity to share their ideas. We welcome that. Of course, what amendments our friends in the minority propose is entirely up to them. Now, the Republican leader hinted yesterday that his conference is preparing several messaging amendments that they hope might score political points. That's fine. That's their right. But I sincerely hope our Republican colleagues approach our work today with the intention of having serious ideas considered, not using the debate over pandemic relief to sharpen ephemeral partisan talking points. This should be a very serious debate, a very much needed debate. We're in one of the greatest crises America has ever faced. If there are good faith amendments from the other side, we look forward to them. What we cannot do, however, is think small in the face of big problems. We cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. We cannot do too little. We cannot lock our country into a long and slow recovery. We must instead respond to the urgent needs in our country and chart a bold path back to normal. We must make sure our country and its citizens have the resources to survive the remaining months of challenge. That struggling businesses can access loans and grants, that state and local governments, and yes, tribal governments, are not forced to cut essential services, and millions of essential employees. That our doctors and medical workers can administer the vaccine as quickly and as widely as possible. That's how we get back to normal. That's how we survive the months in between till we get back to normal. And that's what this budget resolution and the rescue plan is all about. Now on impeachment. A few weeks ago, I laid out the agenda for the Senate's opening few weeks. First, nominations. Second, major legislation to rescue the American people from the continued effects of COVID-19. And third, an impeachment trial for Donald J. Trump. The Senate has made steady progress on the first two agenda items, confirming several historic and exceptionally qualified nominees to President Biden's cabinet. Tonight, we'll be voting on the budget resolution, the first step in giving the Congress the tools to pass a major relief bill. And on Tuesday, the Senate will begin to fulfill the third responsibility that I outlined, the second impeachment trial of Donald J. Trump for inciting a violent mob against the Capitol on January 6th. They were right near all of us, right near all of us. It's been nearly a month since the attacks on the 6th. Time will do its part to heal the scars left by that day, but we cannot allow it to dull our sense of responsibility for holding to account those who perpetrated and motivated the attack. We were all witnesses to the events that day when a group of insurrectionists, white supremacists, and domestic terrorists fed a cavalcade of lies about the legitimacy of the American elections by the former president, told to come to Washington by the former president, whipped into a frenzy and directed towards the Capitol by the former president, invaded and desecrated this sacred temple of democracy with the intention of denying the counting of the Electoral College vote, the final act in certifying the former president's defeat. The horrors of that day may have faded for some, not for others, many in this chamber. Staff, senators, and House members and House staff alike still live through this every single day, every single day. So it has not faded for a lot of us. But as a country, even for those for whom it has faded, we cannot simply move on. The United States Capitol complex has been militarized, patrolled by the National Guard, surrounded by a fence to safeguard the people's house from the people themselves. 5 people are dead. Just yesterday, we held a memorial service in the rotunda of this building for a Capitol police officer who was tragically killed during the attack. There cannot be any healing without truth, without accountability. The idea that we should sweep this under the rug and move on, one of the greatest acts of perfidy against this government, against the American people in our grand 200 and some odd year history, no sweeping under the rug. So the trial will commence on Tuesday. Senators have already been sworn in as judges and jurors. The House managers have filed their brief. The former president's counsel have filed their answer. The constitutional objection raised by some of my Republican colleagues has been completely debunked by more than 150 scholars representing the entire breadth of the political spectrum, including very prominent conservatives like Stephen Calabresi, the co-founder of the Federalist Society. We'll move forward with a fair and speedy trial. The House managers will present their case. The former president's counsel will mount a defense, and senators will have to look deep into their consciences and determine if Donald Trump is guilty, and if so, ever qualified again to enjoy any office, honor, trust, or profit under the United States. We will pass judgment as our solemn duty under the Constitution demands, and in turn, history will judge how the Senate and each senator responds. Now on student loans, finally, Later this morning, I will join several of my Democratic colleagues from the House and Senate to reintroduce our proposal to cancel up to $50,000 in federal student loan debt, a life-changing measure, life-changing, for Americans struggling to stay afloat during this pandemic and secure financial independence. For tens of millions, especially people of color, a college education has represented the surest path to the middle class. But now, that often means taking on a mountain of debt that can take decades to pay off. It makes it harder to own a home, save for retirement, and provide a better life for loved ones. In the midst of a once-in-a-century crisis, these Americans need relief fast. College has always been a ladder up. For too many, it's now an anchor, weighed down by huge amounts of debt they almost can never see repaying in full. So I look forward to joining Senator Elizabeth Warren, as well as Representatives Adams, Omar, and Jones this morning to present our plan for student loan debt cancellation. And I yield the floor. Note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.